So far, it's been a troubling autumn for our fair little planet here, with back-to-back hurricanes pummeling the United States and a developing geomagnetic storm threatening to disrupt power and communication networks. But there was one positive, noteworthy development regarding our natural environment this week. Mountain Dew's mountain is back. That's right. So back in 2008, PepsiCo made it known that the word mountain would be abbreviated to MTN. And in the years since, the packaging of this one-time hillbilly bourbon mixer said to tickle your innards has embraced the brevity of their bubbly rebrand. But starting next May, the full mountain is returning to Mountain Dew cans and bottles, with PepsiCo's senior vice president and chief design officer telling CNN that spelling out the word mountain is a direct link to the origins of the brand, which is the mountains and the outdoors. A cheerful corporate way of noting that the phrase Mountain Dew used to mean Appalachian mountain brewed moonshine. Of course, the risk of methanol toxicity has long given way to the 46 grams of sugar in 12 ounces of soda pick-me-up we all know and love today. A bipartisan favorite admired and consumed by both Democrat Tim Walz and Republican J.D. Vance, albeit the diet version, not the full-grade chemical weapon. Though PepsiCo's 5-letter change here isn't simply to evoke the memory of the natural world, where rather than sitting on a donkey indoors, you'll be tackled by a ram in a mountain's base. That's because some storm clouds have been gathering over the MTN. As other recent rebrand attempts, like rolling out the Mountain Dude here and returning to the Do the Do catchphrase, are pivoting Mountain Dew's marketing away from being an energy drink competitor, in spite of its radioactive appearance. Indeed, this realignment comes on the heels of a slowing demand for Mountain Dew, according to Beverage Digest, observing a decline in volume of 7% in the first half of 2024. And PepsiCo even cut its full-year revenue outlook on Tuesday, in part Mountain Dew to a slower volume of its North American beverage unit. The company CEO blamed things like inflation, but as recently observed by the Food Institute, soda consumption in the US has been falling for nearly 2 decades, as consumers seek out healthier options over sugary soft drinks, with one study finding that taxes on sugary drinks have also led to a noteworthy decline too. There's also increased competition, with everything from sparkling water to whatever Logan Paul is selling, to better-for-you craft sodas like Olipop, which just released its own Mountain Dew-like beverage called Ridge Rush. Get it? The vice president of marketing at Mountain Dew told CNN he thinks this rebrand could help attract drinkers who have perhaps forgotten about Mountain Dew. Though perhaps they've simply been remembering too strongly. This stuff started out as a moonshine mixer, and they keep getting the balance wrong. Anyway, what a weird week. My name is Greg Ott, and this is your News Refresh, where we spend the entire week scouring the internet for the best weird, funny, and unusual news stories, bottle them up for you, and serve them in a nice, convenient, bubbly package like this. Today we've got everything from Teddy Ruxpin singing old Green Day songs, to a bunch of important beer cans that were thrown away by mistake in a museum, to the reason that an abandoned CVS near you might be getting the Christmas spirit. Before we get going, give this video a like and a hot subscribe. It helps us get into more people's feeds. Thanks. And with that in mind, hey, look up. Behold the body politic. That's a giant nude effigy of Mr. Donald Trump in Phoenix, dangling from a crane in the parking lot of a weed dispensary. Arizona Central reports this meaty marionette stands at 43 feet tall, weighs 6,000 pounds, and is described as anatomically correct. But in case you were hoping to catch a glimpse of this correct anatomy, too bad. The statue rose like a phoenix and disappeared, as it's said to be part of a tour called Crooked and Obscene that's meant to serve as a bold statement on transparency, vulnerability, and the public personas of political figures. Indeed, Las Vegas was the apparent first stop of this tour in early October, prompting the Nevada Republican Party to condemn this deplorable statue that families driving through Las Vegas were forced to view, in a place nicknamed Sin City. Arizona Central claims whoever moved the statue was headed to Utah, and in spite of this less than flattering effigy, the Republican nominee has recently expressed pride over his figure to crowds at political rallies.
I could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful.
Body positivity also extends to other members of the Trump family, as the former First Lady recently stood behind her nude modeling work as a means of promoting a book she wrote.
Are we no longer able to appreciate the beauty of the human body?
It's time for me to sing Chump, my favorite track on Dookie.
That's Teddy Ruxpin himself, gearing up to sing a Green Day song. That functional 80s-era doll is just one of 15 obscure, obsolete, or inconvenient media formats that the band is using to re-release its 1994 album, Dookie. The song Longview is on a doorbell, Welcome to Paradise is on a Game Boy cartridge, and Pulling Teeth is on an electric toothbrush. Billy Joe Armstrong also lends his talents to Billy Bass.
Do you have the time?
These extremely limited edition and extremely low fidelity Demasters are another part of the band's 30th anniversary celebration of their breakthrough album, and the stuff ranges in price from $19 to $99. Of course, to actually buy one of these things, you have to win a drawing first at DookieDemastered.com. Oh, and these dead formats can only be shipped out to US addresses, which presumably includes Las Vegas, the city the lead singer says he hates for stealing his baseball team from Oakland.
I hate Las Vegas.
So take a look at these empty beer cans. They were found in the glass elevator of a museum earlier this month, and understandably, an elevator technician took them for trash and threw them away. Only the cans weren't trash. They were a 36-year-old piece of art. These empties are better known as All the Good Times We Spent Together, a 1988 work by French artist Alexandre Levet. And according to the Lam Museum in the Netherlands, where these were being exhibited, these cans were meticulously hand-painted with acrylics to replicate the look of, well, real beer cans. This museum claims the two empties symbolize cherished memories shared with dear friends and embody precious moments of connection. And they'd been placed in the elevator to make it seem as though they were left behind by construction workers. You see, this museum just so happens to have the world's largest collection of food art and regularly displays items in unconventional locations, like this well-placed banana peel. Anyway, this elevator repairman threw these works of art in the trash, and the museum's curator eventually found them in a garbage bag. And on Instagram, the museum says this art has since been cleaned up and even given a temporary place of honor at the entrance. Huh. They say one man's trash is another man's treasure.
35 years ago, you first started feeding some raccoons, and then when all of a sudden did it explode like this?
6 weeks ago.
That's new video put up by the Kitsap County Sheriff's Office in Washington State on the scene of the property of a lady who called 911 earlier this month after more than 100 raccoons surrounded her home. This woman claims she's been leaving food out for raccoons since the 1980s. And this massive gaze of raccoons, or nursery, as pointed out by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, not only caught the attention of this lady after she was surrounded by these damn things night and day, but also that of her neighbor here.
I'd say it's been about the last month or so I've noticed it. I've had several raccoons in the yard recently. My dogs have gotten in a scuffle several times with raccoons. I even had to take one of my dogs to the vet after tussling with a raccoon. And I've also noticed there's been a lot more hit raccoons up on the main road here.
The raccoon lady who's been running this golden corral for trash foragers claims that to trap and remove these creatures, she's been quoted prices of $500 per raccoon. And police have referred her to the Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife, which of course notes on its website in bold, "Don't feed raccoons, as it may create undesirable situations for you, your children, neighbors, pets, and the raccoons themselves." Like in that one case from Michigan earlier this year, where a raccoon started choking on a piece of cheese it got from the garbage and required the help of a local guy to unlodge the thing.
There you go. There it is. Let's see this one.
Hey, before we keep going, just want to remind you again to like this video and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us reach more people through the algorithm. All right, great. Thanks. Let's keep going. Does this look like the next president? The polls may be neck and neck here in the United States, but out in Italy, Kamala Harris has left quite the impression on the field, where a land artist named Dario Gambarin just crafted the 6.5-acre portrait of the Democratic nominee, using only a tractor and a plow without tracing anything on the ground. As part of his technique, he apparently doesn't even measure the field before starting his work. He's simply got an innate sense of proportion and tractor driving prowess that enables him to create perfectly dimensioned giant images like these. In a press release, this Italian artist claimed he chose to make this field of dreams because of statements of Kamala's, like, "Optimism is the fuel that drives every fight, because the American dream belongs to all of us." And Harris isn't the first politics type to get this artist's earthy treatment. He made this Fidel Castro to celebrate Pope Francis visiting Cuba in 2015, this Hillary Clinton You Must You Can portrait from a month before the 2016 election, and even one of Vladimir Putin ahead of 2017's G20 summit. And while those might not be the most flattering electoral comparisons, at least Kamala's portrait's a bit more convincing than his early hope is in the land image of Barack Obama. Behold the Christmas spirit. That is, Spirit Christmas. The ghost of Walgreens past has some new plans to not just inhabit some abandoned stores for spooky season, but also the traditional period of Yuletide joy. In case you didn't get your holiday fix as a sexy Santastress, 10 of these new Spirit Christmas stores will be pushing everything from holiday apparel to decorations and more in a mix of converted Spirit Halloween locations and new original pop-ups along the East Coast, with the first one set to open in New Jersey on October 18th. 10 Spirit Christmas stores, of course, are barely some loose milk duds in a candy bucket, compared to the record-breaking 1,525 stores the company said they'd be opening in North America for Halloween. While the US continues to contend with a growing number of pharmacy deserts, there's ample opportunity for the Doogie Housers among us to find gainful employment in these types of one-time drugstores, with more than 10,000 open jobs listed at workforspirit.com as of press time. Kris Kringle himself will not only be on site at these Spirit Christmas stores, you can even reserve an upcoming time slot online for free digital postcards with him. For your kids' sake, let's hope Santa didn't pick up a $3 costume at, Spirit Halloween.
Based on the reconstitutions, I think it could reach around 50 kilograms.
That's a paleobiologist talking about Arthropleura, an ancient 100-pound creature that may have been the largest bug ever.
Arthropleura is a giant myriapod that lived during the Carboniferous, so around 300 million years ago, mostly in Europe and in North America.
This ancestor to millipedes and centipedes, like these friendly creatures, hello, is believed to have not just weighed 100 pounds, but was up to 9 feet long with dozens of legs and had the body of a millipede with the head of a centipede.
It's one of the biggest land arthropod that we found in the history of Earth. It's gigantic size.
Nobody, of course, wants to be the head of any centipede, but scientists haven't exactly known what Arthropleura's head actually looked like, because the fossils they found of these things have just been headless shells left behind from when they molted. But now, in new research published in the Science Advances journal this week, researchers say they've produced a new model of Arthropleura's head, using CT scans of fossils found in a French coal field in the 1980s. And here it is, reconstructed in all of its 300 million year old glory. Wow, cute. So yeah, from the biggest bugs ever to a field full of Kamala Harris, it's been yet another weird week. And we'll be back next week with another collection of all things strange. Again, I'm Greg Ott, this is @TheNewsRefresh, and let us know what you think of this stuff in the comments. In this recent vid about toilet paper hoarding caused by last week's 3-day dock workers strike, Josh Curtis 295 said, "Toilet paper is not an essential item." That's not exactly right, as the Alabama Public Health Department lists on their government website of 10 essential items a list of personal care items, which includes toilet paper. In any case, I wouldn't ask to use the bathroom at Josh's house.